start in the market. Plus, GMO safe for humans. Scientists recommend a workshop to enlighten politicians about GMOs ahead of the foods entering the market next year. A very warm welcome to this live broadcast. My name is Purity Museonzuki. Let's get started. Traders in Gilgil town are counting losses running into millions of shillings after a fire gutted down their businesses last night. During the midnight incident in Gilgil estate, assorted goods worth over 3 million shillings were reduced to ashes after the fire broke out in one of the shops. There were allegations of arson as residents blamed the county government for failing to provide a fire engine for the newly elevated municipality. Fire engines from Naivasha town and the nearby KDF barracks were stopped by some irate youth after they turned up too late. Gilgil Member of Parliament Martha Wangari, who was among the first on the scene, said that over 200 people had lost their jobs following the incident.
Kuna moshi inatoka juu. Hasa kwenda kuingia hiyo siwezi kuelezea kwa sababu niliona ni moto ambao siwezi elezea kwa sababu kulikuwa na moshi moto, singeweza kuokoa hata kitu. Na kuna vitu zilikuwa kwa mlango, sio hatungeweza kuokoa.
Tumekuwa sub county mpya, tumekuwa constituency mpya, sasa tuko municipality. Municipality gani haina zimamoto? Wacha walete hata kama ni ile ndogo ikaange hapa, sababu kila saa tunakimbia, tunaomba. In fact wangeleta hata hizi za local ndo zinatusaidia, za local business people. Walete ile ndogo ikae hapa Gilgil. Na nafikiri sasa hiyo si kuomba, sababu tumeanza msimu mpya, wacha ikue priority, sababu hauwezi kuwa unatoa hii pesa miaka 15 na hawapati kuona sababu ya kutoa hiyo pesa.
The government, disaster department, mjue vile mtakabiliana na hili janga la moto. Kama hakika hamna gari za kuzima moto, can you liaise with those people ambao wanakuwa na gari za maji? Mnawaambia moto ukitokea wafike pale mbele, then you'll sort them out later, kwa sababu hakuna haja ya mali ya wananchi kuchomeka na wanalipa. It is very painful. I'm feeling these people.
And a Kisii court has detained Alex Ochogo until Friday in connection with the assault of a 3-year-old boy in Kisii whose eyes were gouged out in Ikuruma village. Police say the suspect's mother is being sought as the main suspect. The suspect, Alex Ochogo, is a cousin to the victim. This even as Governor Simba Arati revealed that baby Junior Sagini will be relocated to a safe house together with his sister. The 3-year-old baby is due for discharge from hospital. Arati, who visited the boy in hospital today, volunteered to defray the treatment cost running into 100,000 Kenyan shillings. Arati asked security agencies and government administrators in the villages to monitor families that go through marital challenges and refer them for counseling.
And make sure the child is fine. Fortunately, the child is quite healthy, he's talking, walking around, although blind. And is actually healed, so he should be discharged.
As a government, I've personally decided that I'll settle the bill with the hospital here where the baby was brought in. Very much. And at any given time that we found the other side of rehabilitation center is accommodative, therefore Daktari will release the baby to the facility. More important, I want to ask that let us be our brother's keeper.
Elsewhere, rice farmers under Mwea irrigation scheme in Kirinyaga County have protested the move by the government to import 600,000 tons of rice. They say the importation comes at a time they have received a bumper harvest will lead to a glut in the market. Speaking in Mwea rice stores, the farmers led by Mwea Rice Growers Cooperative Society chairperson Ndege Muriuki said despite rice farmers in Mwea scheme working extremely hard this season and government constructing the Dam, farmers will still count heavy losses if the government imports 600,000 tons of rice. Muriuki fears that unscrupulous traders will use the Mwea Pishori rice to adulterate the cheap rice.
ili ile on time na sisi ukulima wetu iwende sababa tuwe tunaitumia vile inatakikana.
Serikali italeta tarehe 6 kutoka mwezi wa Februari. Wacha mimi niseme kama mkulima, serikali itakuwa imetuua kama sisi wakulima. Juu ikileta mchele kutoka huko nje, mimi mkulima wa kawaida nitapeleka mchele wangu wapi?
Elsewhere, university researchers want political leaders in the country to be educated on GMOs and other agricultural technologies before the release of genetically modified organisms, maize, for field trials next year. The scientists argue that this will help in the demystifying the misconceptions surrounding the GMOs. Under the umbrella of Kenya University Biotech Consortium, KOBICO, scientists raised concerns about the high magnitude of misconceptions exuded by politicians since the lifting of the ban was announced in October. The researchers are calling upon members of parliament to strengthen legislations governing established regulatory agencies checking on food imports to enhance their mandate, especially in inspecting GMOs likely to enter the market next year.
Existing institutions and push them to do their mandate. And allow them to be able to comment on these matters with a lot of information rather than making matters GM very emotive.
Technology scientists, they have taken this particular gene and they have put it in maize, and therefore so that the farmer can get more yield from the so that the crops are not attacked by stalk borer. But in terms of safety, the data we have, the data that is available from the public domain in peer-reviewed journals, does not show anything which is adverse, which can be of a health effects to either man or any mammal.
There is no danger to the indigenous traditional foods that we actually use. Science is zeroing only in a few crops, and in particular on maize, and that has not been released for use up to this particular time.
Moving on, a sting operation by a multi-agency team in Juja sub-county has netted among items a large consignment of bang, illicit brews and weapons used by criminals targeting mostly university students. Kiambu County Police Commander Muchangi Kioi said 12 suspects have been arrested in the week-long crackdown and will be arraigned in court to answer various charges. Among the items impounded were bang packaged in biscuits, then sold mainly to students at the nearby universities and colleges. Kioi, who was accompanied by Juja Sub-County Police Commander Phyllis Muthoni, said a crackdown on illicit alcoholic drinks and drugs will be intensified over the festive season.
22 cartons of counterfeit silica that is recovered within area of Muigai Inn and some parts of Gashororo. 16 mobile phones of different makes also recovered within the Juja Township. 8 pangas, 10 assorted knives, 2 carry barrel, and 5 pangi 85 kilograms worth 500,000 shillings. I want to give a warning. We have a lot of these fake beers. As you can see, we have the cake, we have Tusker, we have Pilsner. When members of public are buying, especially these autumn drinks for the Christmas, let them check whether they are the real, is the actual beer or is the fake beer, because they are out within the villages there.
Let's now cross over to Lamu County, where residents and security agents in Amu Island have agreed to ban night movements of boda-bodas in order to quell rising cases of insecurity. In a baraza attended by residents of the island and security agencies, a consensus to ban all night meetings, including weddings, was reached. The police were accused of going slow on drug peddlers, even as residents called for 2 more police posts in Kashmiri and Wioni areas.
Wamekuja wamezungumza watu wanauza drugs. Mtu akaingia mpaka kwenye nyumba akawa kuzungumza na ule anayemuuzia, na ikawa huonesha pale zinapotolewa. Hiyo inaonyesha na media, na sisi wengi tumeona katika hiyo media, na polisi wako hapa Lamu.
Wazanyaji ni mimi na wewe, hakuna mwingine kutoka nje. Drugs tunawajua, wenye kuuza ni mimi na wewe. Tafadhalini tusiwaogope, tuambiane hata kama ni siri. Lakini ndugu zetu serikali, tuomba tukileta hiyo information msijaribu kututaja ni nani alileta hiyo habari.
Wameamilia kwamba watapata ile haki kutokana na msaada wenu, lakini at the end hakuna manufaa yoyote ama jambo lolote ambalo lafanyika. Sasa ni kitu ambacho labda tutataka ufafanuzi kutoka kwenu. Ni kwa sababu ya nini? Kwa sababu tunakujua serikali ina mkono mrefu. Ni kwa nini iwe yani mhalifu tu kawaida wa hapa Lamu amefanya uhalifu, amepiga mwenzake, kuna wengine wamekuwa walemavu mpaka leo hawezi kutembea.
And women in Tharaka Nithi County are pushing for inclusion and recognition as able individuals to own agricultural land and livestock. The women say that culture relegates them to being second fiddle to men on matters of land ownership. Men in Tharaka Nithi own the land and make all decisions pertaining to all important commodity. They decry that they do the donkey work in the farms but are hardly involved when they make sell the farm produce of the livestock, even as when Jubilee administration issued thousands of title deeds in the county, majority of them were in the names of the male gender. They want the trend changed in line with the provision of the Constitution.
Women have been neglected for several years on decision making when it comes to farming, when it comes to land ownership, when it comes to lands, livestock, when it comes to issues related to women. Women have been neglected, even culturally. But now we are here to ensure that women are not left out on issues of farming, on issues of making decisions on what to farm, on what to sell, on what you're supposed to eat. Yeah, that's why we are championing on the same.
We are trying to get those issues reviewed. We are trying to get those issues documented so that we can come up with mechanisms of policy review so that we can get solutions favorable to these people who are being affected.
It's now time for a first commercial break right here at KTN News Desk. Stay with us because we still have plenty more coming up shortly.
Did you know that approximately 6 million Kenyans are infected with Bilharzia and many more are at risk of getting infected? Bilharzia is among the most common neglected tropical diseases associated with significant morbidity and mortality. In Kenya, Bilharzia is mainly found around the shores of Lake Victoria and the coastal region. However, we have an active transmission in some spots in the lower eastern, central, western and Rift Valley regions. It is transmitted by a freshwater snail worm. A person is infected when the larva of the worm penetrates the skin and when one gets into contact with water that is contaminated. The water becomes contaminated when an infected person defecates or urinates either directly in the water source or in the environment, and the eggs are washed into the water body. Bilharzia causes blood in urine and stool, anemia, and abdominal pains. And if untreated, it may lead to other complications such as liver and spleen enlargement, kidney damage, bladder cancer, pain in the pelvic region, and may lead to infertility in men and women. But there is good news. From 15th to 19th December 2022, the Ministry of Health, together with the county governments of Bungoma, Kakamega, Trans Nzoia, and Vihiga, with support from the World Health Organization, WHO, and Amref Health Africa, will provide treatment through mass drug administration and all at-risk community members, both adults and children. This treatment will be free of charge. Trained community drug distributors will ensure all community members receive this treatment. These medicines are effective and safe. Ensure that all members of your household are available to receive and benefit from this treatment. Please contact your health worker at your nearest public health facility in case of any questions or clarification. Eliminate worms. Did you know that approximately 10 million Kenyans are infected with intestinal worms, also known as minyoo, and 16.6 million more are at risk? Intestinal worms are among the most common neglected tropical diseases associated with significant morbidity and mortality. Minyoo is widely distributed in Kenya and is usually transmitted where there is poor sanitation and hygiene. The eggs of the worms are released into the environment through human feces when infected individuals defecate openly or where there are no latrines. These eggs contaminate the soil and are ingested through hands or fingers when food is eaten before washing hands, and vegetables and fruits that have not been properly washed, peeled or cooked. People can also get infected by walking barefoot in contaminated soil. Minyoo causes nutritional deficiencies such as anemia, diarrhea, abdominal pain, and body weakness, and in severe cases, intestinal obstruction. In children, it may cause slow growth or poor physical development. But there is good news. From the 15th to 19th December 2022, the Ministry of Health, together with county governments of Bungoma, Kakamega, Trans Nzoia, and Vihiga, with support from the World Health Organization, WHO, and Amref Health Africa, will provide treatment through mass drug administration to all at-risk community members, both adults and children. This treatment will be free of charge. Trained community drug distributors will ensure all community members receive this treatment. These medicines are effective and safe. Ensure that all members of your household are available to receive and benefit from this treatment. Please contact your health worker at your nearest public health facility in case of any questions or clarification. Eliminate worms. Nurture families.
Mars, yani mko mtaani buying just like that? It's time to play Instameter and you could win up to 10 million shillings instantly. The game is quite easy. Simply dial *239# to play. Don't just zuba. Play Instameter today and get a chance to win millions.
Over 18s only. Gaming is addictive. Play responsibly. This message has been authorized by the BCLB. License number 880.
Mentioned in 2021, Kenya made 12 concrete commitments.
That the government of Kenya is going to ratify the ILO on the elimination of gender-based violence.
We are aware of the different forms of violence that especially young women are going through. Sexual harassment at university, the issues of sex for marks.
The word is harassment and it's for real, it's true. You feel like you're in a place you cannot defend yourself.
Apart from improving yields of the crops, manure is also a source of income.
This is where I bring you diverse farming stories from across the country that get to show you what is happening on the ground in the farming sector.
What does it take for this plant to grow the way it has?
In cherry tomatoes is not that rocket science.
The main challenge of this business is consistency of supply.
Lengo letu la kuanzisha kikundi hiki ilikuwa ni kubuni ajira na kuondoa umaskini kati yetu.
Stay tuned to Youth in Agriculture right here on KTN News.
And welcome back to KTN News Desk. Many thanks for staying with us. Let's continue with our coverage. Even after different parts of the country received short rains, rangers from semi-arid counties are still grieving over the loss of livestock. Leaders from drought-stricken counties are still pushing the government through KWS to allow them to graze their livestock in the parks during severe droughts. Hezron Kimari with that story from Taita Taveta County.
Drought continues to ravage semi-arid counties even after the country received short rains. Thousands of livestock in the ranches are still succumbing to hunger.
Kae tutafute suluhu because bado kiangazi ipo. Usidanganywe. Hakujanyesha. Chairman, nyinyi mmepata mvua. Huko bado kuna pahali bado iko namna hiyo mbele yako. Sasa utawaambia wafugaji waende wakule wapi? Lazima tukae na mimi ni conservationist na niko na ng'ombe. Na ng'ombe iko kwa park, usinifunge saa hii, lakini ng'ombe iko kwa park. Sidanganyani?
Many times we have a lot of livestock in the parks. It is common knowledge. We have talked about it. It seems as though these people are so powerful that the government cannot remove them. And I wonder why. Our local people who surround the parks, when they try to go into the parks, they are arrested.
Yani tunashikana hata tuwe pia na ofisa mmoja wa KWS. At least hizi wajua nimepoteza ng'ombe zaidi 14,000 hapa. Wameumia sana hao watu. Angalau hizi ng'ombe wasaidiwe, hizi ng'ombe zao zingine zinaingia katika park hii ya karibu.
The government through KWS has assured leaders and ranchers of getting amicable solution for both wildlife and livestock during times of severe drought.
Bado hakujanyesha, but we need also to agree and come together as leaders so that we don't criminalize all the activities. We discuss if it is livestock in parks or outside the park, we discuss and have an agreement.
Let us maintain calm. My door is open and I am willing to dialogue with you and we are going to get a solution. We've been with you for a long time. We will get a solution and livestock is going to thrive. Wildlife is going to thrive.
If you're going to encourage conservation, let us keep livestock where it's supposed to be with the wildlife in the conservancies, but let's keep the protected areas specifically for wildlife, and where it is necessary, let there be regulations for putting in livestock within the parks.
So we are saying we cannot tell the Maasais to drive out their livestock, and you're not giving them an alternative.
The Principal Secretary of Department of Wildlife has raised concerns over the low budgetary allocations, asking funding from other NGOs.
We are going to use part of this grant to support the community rancher programs, especially in tackling poaching and illegal wildlife trade. We are going to use part of this grant to also support in paying their salaries, their training.
My challenge to IFAO and USAID, anytime you have a project, the fact that you have a monitoring and evaluation component in it, make sure you have a human-wildlife conflict component in it. So that while people are benefiting from the project, anticipate that there's going to be some conflict and help us gap the budget. I have a budget of 5.2 billion I need to pay this financial year. I only have 1 billion.
This was said at the handover ceremony of vehicles and motorbikes worth 46 million to conservation organizations within the Tsavo and Amboseli ecosystem, funded by IFAO. Hezron Kimari, KTN News, Taita Taveta.
And non-government organizations have teamed up to promote production of indigenous vegetables as an alternative source of income for rural households. Rural Outreach Africa, SNV Netherlands, and World Vegetable Center, WVC, are implementing the Veggies for Planet and People project with funding from IKEA Foundation that's in Kakamega, Vihiga, and Kisumu counties. Through the project, farmers in the identified areas have been organized through village-based networks where they get support through training and best farming practices. Speaking during a field day at one of the selected farms in Kabras, the regional coordinator of Rural Outreach Africa, Doreen Anjawa, said many people are changing their consumption habits by embracing traditional vegetables which are pesticide-free.
Mashirika inaweza kuja iende, lakini sisi tutasimama na nyinyi. Wale ambao hawakushika jinsi ya kupanda mboga ama wale ambao hawako kwa groups, bado washikane na wale maafisa ambao wamekuwa hapa wa ward, watawasaidia ili pia mfike kiwango ya kufundisha wengine.
Mingi zenye zinakulwa hapa kwetu zinatoka nje. Kuna kuanga na kama hizi tenders nini na nini. Hiyo ninge request watupe nafasi sisi wakulima wa mboga tuuze kwanza kwetu, ndio zikipungua wafanye nini, waende nje. Juu nimejua tuko na mboga.
Ni muradi utawatoa kwa umaskini, ni muradi utawapa pesa. Na sasa hivi vile mnajua Kenya iko shida na njaa sasa hivi. Ikiwa mkulima anaweza kuwa kama na mboga zenye tunaona kwa hii shamba, akiuza haezi akalala njaa. Na tena tunawafunza diversification. Na tunaangazia sana mkulima asikwame kupanda mmea moja hata kama ni mboga.
That's the latest at this hour. Thank you so much for watching News Desk. My name is Piriti Musenzuki. Good afternoon.
KTN News. Get the whole story.